Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Sami here. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto copies the Forbidden Scroll, part 1. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, please subscribe to our channel, and like this video. So let's get into the video. Yawning loudly, as he stretched on his small bed, Uzumaki Naruto slowly started his morning routine. Yawn, stretch, scratch, head to the small shabby kitchen to start water to boil. Then move to the bathroom, turn on his ice-cold shower, and get clean while freezing. Curse the landlord for never fixing the water heater for his apartment. Stupid landlord. When I become Hokage he'll be sorry he did this to me. The young blonde slowly stepped out of his shower, shivering, and trying to dry off with one of his few towels. As he was drying he couldn't help, but remember he needed to try to do his laundry at night. If only it was that easy. Stupid people would never let me use the machines, even when I have enough money. I might have to go down to the river again. Changing into a pair of ramen boxers, and hanging the towel around his neck, he walked to the kitchen, careful to avoid the holes in his floorboards of the house. With never having enough money to repair them, and when he did he would be charged too much, he finally decided to just forget about it, and let them stay that way. As he reached the kitchen he noticed his water had finally started to boil, and quickly poured it into a container of instant ramen, and sat there waiting those 3 agonizing minutes for it to cook. While sitting there he couldn't help but think of last night. Even now he could still feel a small pain in his right arm. Thinking of the phantom pain, he reached up with his other arm, and gently grabbed it. Flashback. Naruto had finally finished cleaning up the Hokage faces, and spent the rest of the night with his sensei, Yumi no Iruka. Iruka had decided to treat Naruto out to ramen, as a motivator to clean up the faces quicker. It turned out to be a small mistake, as Naruto managed to eat nearly 10 times as many as Iruka. As he walked into his small apartment, he couldn't help but notice another rock laying in what would be his living room, with another part of the window shattered. Sighing, the young blonde walked over, and picked the rock up to place it in a drawer of his dresser with the many others like it, not even bothering to read the note attached to it. He never knew why the villagers acted like that, but he finally got to a point where he just stopped caring, and ignored it, putting on a smile, so that they never see him cry or sad. Even around Iruka, an old man Hokage. As he was walking towards his bedroom a sudden jolt of pain raced up his right arm, sending him crashing down to the floor. He tried to bring his other arm to cradle the right, but the pain stopped him, causing him to fall back to the floor, bringing out fresh tears of pain. Kuzo. What is this? It hurts so much. What is going on? Despite the pain, he managed to crawl his way onto his bed, and lay there, wincing in pain every so often, never knowing what was causing it. All he knew was that he had never felt anything like it before. Try as he might, he could not hold back the tears that it brought to him. The pain was unbearable. He felt as if the pain was enough to kill him. Slowly the pain started to spread throughout the arm, starting at the right shoulder blade, and traveling down the length of the entire appendage. Each minute that passed a new wave hit him. Finally, after who knows how long, Naruto passed out from the pain on his bed, the entire time crying into his mattress. Present, Naruto shook himself out of his thoughts, and turned his attention back to his noodles which were now ready. Grabbing his favorite chopsticks, he wasted little time in finishing them off, and tossing the carton into a pile with the rest. After making a mental note to take the garbage out, he went to his room to change into whatever he could find to wear. Arg. Just my luck, my last jumpsuit is dirty. I don't know if I have anything else to wear. Just great. After yelling this, he quickly looked through his drawers and closet to try to find something clean to wear, and finally managed to find a few clean clothes. Sighing, Naruto dressed in a white t-shirt with small flames-like designs that curled around each other on his shoulders, chest, and back. He sat down on his bed, as he pulled on a pair of orange shorts, that used to be one of his jumpsuits, but had some of the legs torn off. Finally he finished it all off with putting on an orange vest jacket, that had the sleeves torn off of it, and left the thing halfway zipped, as he walked over to his dresser, and put on one of his only true possessions. He never knew where they came from, but he still liked them. It was one of the only things he was ever given on his birthday. A pair of green goggles that would shield his eyes, as well as the bridge of his nose. As he walked out of the room he caught a glimpse of his calendar, and noticed the date. Oh man. Today is the day of the test. He quickly looked towards his alarm clock, and noticed the numbers flashing, 12 o'clock. Not wasting time, he quickly ran out the door, and noticed the sun about halfway across the sky, and only one thing came to his mind. Arg. I'm late. After that he quickly took off across the rooftops heading towards the Shinobi Academy. Konoha Shinobi Academy, room 201. Yumi no Iruka was enjoying his day so far. Last night he had ramen with one of his favorite students, though he regretted the choice of ramen for dinner. He always enjoyed spending time with Naruto, even though the boy could be a troublemaker. Iruka knew he was only doing it to try to get attention. After all, he had done the very same thing when he was Naruto's age. Now today was the day that many of his students would advance to become a genin of Konohagakure, the Hidden Leaf Village. Some would continue on through the ranks, and become Chunin, Jonin, and maybe even Anbu. Perhaps one day one would even reach the title of Hokage. But first they had to pass the test today, and then the test that their Jonin sensei may give them. Out of everyone present today in his class, there was one missing that he knew would never miss this day. Uzumaki Naruto. He had tried the previous 2 years to pass, and yet always failed. The last 2 tests were always the one skill that Naruto had the hardest time with, the Bunshin no Jutsu. This year though might be different. He had seen Naruto practicing the technique, and from what he could tell, it looked like he would be able to pass if the exam was the same as previous years. No one ever knew what the exams would be until the day of the exam. Each year when it came to exam time, the council and Hokage would gather to discuss what they felt should be performed. Then it would be sealed and locked away, so that no one would know until the instructor opened the sealed scroll in front of the class. This way things would be fair for all students involved, or so it should be. Iruka had a feeling that things were not always fair after hearing some stories. Now the class was halfway through with the exam, with only a few students left to take it. Thankfully he had yet to call Naruto's name, since they went in alphabetical order, and Naruto would be the second to last person to take it. Still though, there were only 2 others before Naruto was supposed to perform. Sighing, he continued with calling out the next person, Shikamaru, please come down, and follow me to the exam room. Groaning, Shikamaru slowly woke up from his nap, and walked down to follow his sensei to the room, the whole time mumbling something no one was able to make out. It didn't take long for Iruka to come back into the room, and call for the next student, Uchiha Sasuke, please follow me. After calling the name, Iruka took another look around, hoping to see an orange-clad boy with messy blonde hair sitting there waiting for his turn. Seeing nothing of the sort, he sighed once again, and left the room with the lone Uchiha of Konoha following him. This left only one other person in the room, Yamanaka Ino, who decided to busy herself by daydreaming of her dreamboat, Sasuke. Once again it felt like things were moving all too fast for Iruka, as he started to make his way back towards the classroom. He tried to pace himself slowly, to leave as much time as possible for Naruto to make it, yet he still found himself in front of room 201 for his liking. Sighing, he slid the door open, and walked in, looking towards the back in hopes of seeing a splash of orange. Not seeing anything, he started doing what he feared. Uzumaki Naruto, he called out, and waited several seconds before doing so. Uzumaki Naruto, second call, still nothing. Finally he called one last time, Uzumaki Naruto, this is your final call. Come forward now, or you will fail this year's exam. Hearing nothing, he started to slowly cross the name off of his list. Right when the pen was about to run through the U, the door flew open, and in came running the blue-eyed, blonde-haired boy known by many as Uzumaki Naruto. I'm here. Sorry I'm late, sensei. Naruto. You barely made it in time, follow me to the exam room. As he started on the way out, he could hear the sound of Ino laughing at Naruto, as he slowly made his way out of the room. So tell me Naruto, why were you late this time? Asked Iruka, as he walked down the hall towards the room, and glared at his pupil. I think my apartment lost power last night or something, I mean even my heater wasn't working. Not that much has ever worked in that stupid place to begin with. Iruka heard the first part, but the last parts came out, as nothing more than a whisper that he couldn't pick up. Naruto, how many times have I told you to quit depending on that old thing? Get a real clock, that way you don't need power to tell time or anything. I almost failed you because you were not here on time. I will when I can, Iruka-sensei. It's just that I've had other things to take care of. That first trailed off Naruto. Still though, as important as becoming a shinobi is to you, I would think you would put a little more effort into being on time. Well, here we are Naruto, good luck. Spoke Iruka, as he opened the door for Naruto, and followed him in. After closing the door to the room, Iruka took a seat at the front of the room beside another teacher at the academy, Mizuki. After Iruka took his seat, Mizuki spoke up finally. Alright Naruto, this year's exam requires you to perform the Bunshin no Jutsu, and create 3 different Bunshins that could be used in a fight. Arg. I hate this one. It's a good thing I've been practicing it since last year. This time I will become a shinobi. Nodding to indicate he understood, Naruto took his place in front of the teachers, and got ready to perform the Bunshin no Jutsu. Taking a deep breath, he spread out his legs, and started to concentrate so that he could generate the needed chakra. Slowly blue light started to circle around Naruto, as he focused. All was going well until something started to cause the chakra to flicker. Ah. No, not now stupid arm, quit hurting. Yelled Naruto in his mind. The pain in his right arm had come back, this time it was more painful than it was the previous night. Grinding his teeth, he tried to fight the pain, and performed a jutsu. Iruka noticed that Naruto seemed to be in some kind of pain, yet could see nothing to cause it. He sat there holding his breath, hoping Naruto would finally pass this time. With more than a little force, Naruto yelled out, Bunshin no Jutsu, generating a large cloud of smoke around him, concealing him from the eyes of Iruka and Mizuki. Iruka could hear coughing coming from inside of the smoke cloud, as well as a few cries of pain. He gripped the desk, fighting the urge to run in and check on Naruto. After several seconds, the smoke finally started to clear, and revealed Naruto and a single clone. Said clone was below on the floor, with all of his colors several shades lighter than the originals. It looked pale and sickly, almost as if it was about to die itself. Naruto, upon seeing the clone, yelled out in dismay. No. I can't believe it. Dropping his head, Iruka stood up to speak. I'm sorry Naruto, but you fail. You will have to try again next year. This caused more than a little fear and anger in Naruto, who was still trying to fight back the pain in his arm. No? Iruka-sensei, please let me try again. I promise I can perform the technique. It's just that something happened that distracted me. Please, give me one more chance. You know Iruka, he did perform the technique, and it could be usable in a fight if the enemy wasn't paying attention. We should give him another try, after all it is obvious something is bothering him. Mizuki spoke up, as he looked at Naruto with pity in his eyes. I'm sorry Mizuki-sensei, Naruto. Each student is only allowed one's chance, unless given an excuse from parents, the council, or the Hokage. While he did perform the jutsu, it would never be usable in a battle. You can never depend upon the enemy not paying attention to something like this, stated Iruka with a hint of remorse in his voice. After a final look at both of his senseis, Naruto hung his head down and ran from the room, the whole time gripping his right shoulder, as he ran outside of the academy to his favorite spot in the yards. Once outside he sat against his favorite tree, as he held his shoulder, and tried to fight back the tears of pain and sadness. Kuzo. Why can't they give me another chance? It's not like it is my fault that my arm started hurting for no reason, again. It's just not fair. I tried so hard this time, and it was all for nothing. Maybe I should give up on being a shinobi, and find something else to do. Naruto continued his inner debate, as he watched students get picked up, and congratulated by their parents. Every so often snippets of conversation would drift over to him. Look Dad, I graduated. Now I'll be a ninja just like you. That's great son. Wait till your mom hears this, she will be so happy. Look Mom, they called me first, and I passed easily. That's my boy, tonight we will have a special dinner and party for your graduation. Look, it's that boy. I heard he was the only one who didn't pass. Yeah. Good though, could you imagine what would happen if he passed? He could destroy the entire village. I know. I don't know why they let that. Hush, you know we are not supposed to say that in public. Let's just be glad he didn't pass. Maybe now he will leave or something. Naruto was so caught up in his own pain, as well as hearing the comments from the families, that he never noticed Mizuki walk up beside him. Hey Naruto, tough break huh? But you know, if you want a second chance, all you have to do is come with me, whispered Mizuki to Naruto. Surprised, Naruto looked up at him, and noticed he had already started to walk away. Slowly he dragged himself up from the tree, and started to follow his sensei. The entire time he never noticed an indigo-haired pale-eyed girl watching him from the crowd, and moved to follow Mizuki. As she followed she couldn't help, but thought about her crush. Naruto-kun, I feel bad you didn't pass. You work so hard, and yet you still fail. But you never give up. You deserve this more than I do. Several hours later, Naruto had finally gotten into the tower, and followed the instructions given to him by Mizuki. He slowly made his way down the hall, and towards the office of the Hokage. Finally making it to the Hokage's doors, he eased one open, and slipped inside. Once in, he made his way to the near corner, and thought everything would go off without a hitch when the lights in the room suddenly turned on. Naruto, what are you doing in here this late? Came the voice of the old Hokage, Sarutobi. Sarutobi, or the Sandaime Hokage, as he was also known, was like a grandfather to Naruto. He was always willing to listen to Naruto, and check in on him to make sure things were okay. Sure, Naruto never let him in his apartment, because if he did then he would see how bad it was. One thing Naruto would never take from anyone was pity. He hated being pitied by people. He never asked for it, and he would never take it. The Hokage knew this, and would always try little things to make him happy. Taking him out to eat ramen, a birthday gift every year, and someone to talk to helped. They were never done out of pity, as far as Naruto was concerned. Aji-san, fancy meeting you here. I was just looking for something. Well, it's late Naruto, shouldn't you be at home in bed? Nothing could be that important, at least not important enough to break into my office this late. Grumbling to himself, Naruto got ready to perform one of his news techniques. One that would guarantee to knock out the old Hokage, by working on his only weakness. Sexy young ladies with very little clothing, in other words, his perversion. With a grin that unnerved the Hokage, and a flash of chakra, Naruto called out to him. Work no jutsu. In a brief flash of light, and cloud of smoke later, a young blonde woman, with whisker marks on her cheeks, could be seen posing. She only had traces of smoke covering up her assets, and was bent forward, with a hand raised to her lips, as she blew a kiss to the Hokage. Aji-sama, won't you please let me go? As she said this, the Hokage was thrown backwards by a shower of blood flying from his nose, sending him crashing into the opposite wall, and knocking him briefly unconscious. With a brief thought, another cloud of smoke appeared, revealing a grinning Naruto. No jutsu is a success. With that, he quickly moved to the vault room in the Hokage's office, and grabbed a scroll that was, as long as he was tall. Checking it to see if it was the correct one, he quickly hung it on his shoulders, and left the tower the same way he snuck in. You mean Iruka's home? Iruka was laying down on his bed thinking of the talk he had with the Hokage earlier that day. Not much of it was new information, but parts of it still stuck in his mind. Flashback. The Hokage and Iruka were standing outside the doors to the academy, each watching and smiling at the faces shown by parents and children alike. Each smiling and cheering that they had passed. Sadly, the topic of their current line of conversation was anything but one to bring a smile to their face. Iruka, I heard Naruto failed again. Hi. I don't know what happened this time either. I know he could do it, and there is no way he would play around for something like this. But for some reason halfway through the jutsu something happened. Whatever it was causing Naruto a great deal of pain and caused him to perform the jutsu poorly. Pain? Did he say what kind or anything? No. But it looked like it was his right shoulder and arm. As he was leaving I saw him holding onto it and fighting bad tears. If you want to see, he is probably over by his tree. And that is strange. I'll have to try to check in on him and make sure everything is okay. It seems though he decided to head home early, stated the Hokage, as he looked over towards the tree and saw no trace of Naruto. I feel bad though he worked so hard for this. I wish I could have given him another chance. But if I did, I know Iruka. But don't worry, Naruto is strong, he will not let this change his mind on anything. After all, we both know how stubborn that boy could be. Present. Naruto, I'm sorry. I know how you must feel. We both have so much in common that it hurts to see you like this. If only I could tell you why you are treated the way you are. Maybe then things would be easier on you. Iruka was shaken out of his thoughts by pounding on his door. Quickly rolling out of bed, dressed only in black pants and shirt, he ran to the door to answer it. He quickly swung the door open to reveal a distressed Mizuki. Yes, Iruka-sensei. Get up and come to the Hokages. It's an emergency. They're calling on all Jonin and Chunin. What? What's wrong? It's Naruto. He's stolen the Forbidden Scroll. No Naruto, why would you steal the Forbidden Scroll? Alright, I'll be there quickly, let me get dressed. After quickly getting dressed, Iruka wasted no time in getting to the meeting. As he got there he saw many shinobi gather outside in front of the Hokage. He stayed to the back, in hopes of being able to leave quickly and search for Naruto. While standing there he heard many shouts of things that made him worry for his student. We should have killed him when we had the chance. If he has the Forbidden Scroll, he could destroy us all. How did he get the scroll made by the Shodai Hokage? Silence came the shout from the Hokage, as he stood in front of the gathered shinobi. Once everyone had quieted down, he continued. I gathered you all here because the Forbidden Scroll of Seals has been stolen. I do not know for what reason, but Uzumaki Naruto has taken it and run. I want all of you to find him and bring him back with the scroll. He is to be brought back alive and in one piece. He is not to be harmed. Now go. With that final shout, all the gathered shinobi vanished in a gust of wind and went in search of the young boy. Iruka quickly started to jump from building to building, all in search of Naruto. He checked his apartment in hopes of finding him napping. He checked every place he has ever found Naruto inside of the village, only to come up with nothing. Sighing in defeat he stopped on a small chimney and looked out upon the city. Naruto, where could you be? Standing there he ran through lists of places in his mind. He had checked every one of them and found nothing. If he couldn't find him then the odds of someone else doing so were slim to none. It was when he looked out of Konoha and towards the forest that surrounded it that something came back to him. That shack I found there once after he rigged the entire school with traps. If he isn't in the village, then he has to be there. He quickly left his perch and took off towards the forest. The entire time he never noticed another figure following right behind him. Somewhere in the forest of Konoha. To say Naruto was happy would be an understatement. Everything had gone as planned. The only problem he had run into was the Hokage being in the office, but that was dealt with easily enough. Now he was in the woods at one of his best hiding places, and was about to start reading the scroll to learn the one jutsu needed to pass, as Mizuki-sensei had told him. Sitting down with a loud thump and removing the scroll from his back, he quickly pulled it open and started to read. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu should be easy enough, I can do the regular Bunshin after all. With that he went through the steps to learning jutsu. Oddly enough, it felt easier for him to perform than the regular Bunshin, and so he was able to perform it within the first 30 minutes of trying. With that he moved on to the next one listed. Taju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Art. This one is just as easy, just needs more chakra added to it, so let's go to the next one. Bunshin Daibakuha, and what else does it say? This jutsu is best used in conjunction with the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. When performed correctly, it allows the user to cause the Bunshin to explode upon command, possibly injuring or killing those that are caught in the blast. Nodding his head at the sound of that, he started to work on the new jutsu. As he was working on it, he noticed that the more chakra put into it, the larger the explosion. If he wanted a smaller one, he only had to hold back on the chakra put into the jutsu. After an hour and several mishaps, burns, cuts, and nearly impaling himself on a tree branch, he finally got the jutsu down. Sighing, as he finished he flopped down on the ground and leaned against the tree he was near. He reached over towards the scroll that was laying next to him and looked at what the next technique was. Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, similar to the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, but performed with shuriken instead of an actual body. The user normally throws one shuriken and performs the jutsu to create multiple copies, thus making the attack more deadly. It can however be formed with more than one shuriken being thrown. Also, in place of a shuriken, one could use kunai or other forms of throwing weapons. If done like this, the jutsu would still be the same. The concept of the cage punch and jutsus are all very similar. The reason many of them are listed inside of this scroll is because of the chances of causing chakra depletion of the user, and thus killing them. This is because the jutsus are more powerful with larger amounts of chakra put into them. The chakra put into each cage jutsu is used to create an actual body, which enables them to do much more than regular bunchins. When performing these, be sure you are not low on chakra. As such, it should be noted that users of these jutsus normally have an excess amount of chakra and stamina, which allows them to perform these in succession, or call upon large and greater results. Great, another one, but it should be worth it I guess. With that thought he went into using this one as well. It took little time for him to get the hang of it, due to it being extremely similar to the previous jutsus. The entire time he was practicing he never noticed the form of Hyuga Hinata, watching from the safety of the tree line, with new looks of admiration coming to her face with each jutsu he performed in front of her. Both youths were so caught up in what they were doing, that neither noticed the form of Iruka settling down in the clearing in front of Naruto. And Naruto, what do you think you are doing, stealing the forbidden scroll? Do you have any idea the trouble you are in? Yelled Iruka once in front of Naruto. Hey, Iruka-sensei. I did it. I learned 4 new jutsus from the scroll. That means I pass right. He was out here practicing jutsus from the scroll. He really has been practicing though, I can tell by the looks of him and the clearing. But where did he hear such thing? Naruto, who told you that? Mizuki-sensei told me earlier. He said if I learned a jutsu from this scroll, I could pass and become a genin. What? As Iruka started to say this, he heard the sounds of multiple objects being thrown from behind him. He quickly pushed Naruto out of the way and off to the side of the shack they were in front of. As he did he turned and crossed his arms in front of his face and chest, in hopes of blocking any major damage to those areas. Naruto looked on, as kunai and shuriken flew into Iruka, pinning him to the wall and pulling out a shout of pain from his teacher. Turning to where the objects came from, Naruto noticed Mizuki standing in a tree at the edge of the clearing, with 2 giant shurikens strapped to his back. I suppose I should thank you Iruka, if it wasn't for you, I would have never found Naruto. Mizuki. What's the meaning of this? Yelled out Iruka, biting back a cry of pain. He slowly started to pull the steel objects from his body, while keeping an eye on Mizuki. Isn't it obvious Iruka? Now Naruto, give me the scroll, and maybe, no? Naruto, whatever you do, do not give him that scroll. Naruto, don't listen to Iruka, all he has ever done is lie to you. Tell me Naruto, have you ever felt like you were never told something that you should know? Iruka was stunned. He knew what Mizuki was speaking of, and could only imagine what it would do to Naruto if he heard it. Naruto only looked back and forth between his 2 sensei, wondering what was going on. On one hand was Iruka sensei, who he knew somewhat. He looked up to him as a father, or maybe even a big brother. Sure he was tough, but he tried to make sure Naruto was okay. On the other side was Mizuki sensei. He didn't know much about him, but he couldn't help but feel like whatever he was saying right now held some great importance to him. It was something he just had to know. Naruto was quickly brought out of his contemplation by the voice of Iruka. No Mizuki. You know the law. We can't speak of that. Unsure of what else to say, he voiced the only thing he could. What is it? Grinning at Naruto taking the bait, he slowly started to explain. You see Naruto, everyone in the village hates you, even Iruka. You see, 12 years ago the demon fox Kyuubi attacked. When it did, it killed many shinobi of the leaf, including the parents of Iruka. Because of that he, as well as many of the other villagers, hate Kyuubi. Mizuki don't. See, even now he tries to hide this from you Naruto. He, and the rest of the villagers don't want you to know this. Kano would ask the dumbfounded Naruto, as he wondered where this was going. Behind him in the bushes Hinata was wondering the same thing while trying to stay hidden. But she too wanted to know why they hated Naruto, why did many of the adults glare at him for no reason. They don't want you to know that you are the demon fox, Kyuubi. Yelled Mizuki, causing Naruto to stare, and Iruka to hang his head. Hinata was, as shocked as Naruto, unsure of what to think of this revelation. No? The Yondaime killed the Kyuubi. Shouted Naruto in disbelief. Yet somehow, it all seemed to be true. The looks, the words, the threats. It all started to make sense with this news. If only he could, then I would not have to kill you now. Think about it, Naruto. Haven't you wondered if you were never accepted here? Why are you hated? It's because you are the 9-tailed fox. So when I kill you, and take the scroll, no one will blame me. Now, prepare to die Naruto. Yelled Mizuki, as he removed a shuriken from his back, and threw it towards Naruto. Naruto couldn't help but stand there, still too shocked from the news he was just given. Naruto no yelled out Iruka, as he jumped in front of Naruto, and leaned over him to take the shuriken in the back. Naruto, who had closed his eyes in hopes of not seeing the blade bite into him, slowly opened them, as he felt some wet fall upon his cheeks. Opening his eyes and reaching a hand to his cheek, he found blood dripping down upon him from above. Seeing this, his eyes widened, and he looked up to see Iruka with the shuriken stuck inches into the back of his sensei. Iruka-sensei. Naruto, I'm sorry I couldn't tell you what I wanted to, but I was never sure how you would react. Not only that, but we were all forbidden to tell you this. Trailing off, Iruka coughed up more blood that splashed onto Naruto. Quit lying, Iruka. You know you hate him. Naruto, you know Iruka is an orphan, just like you. It's because you killed them when you attacked 12 years again. He hates you just like the rest of the village. You are the beast that destroyed his family, and the family of others. Hearing this, Naruto slowly raised his head to look into the face of Iruka. When he did, he could see the pained expression on it. It wasn't one of physical pain, it was one of emotional and mental. Looking into Iruka's eyes, he could see how much it hurt him to hear this. And Naruto, I've never hated you. Yes, I was mad, but not at you, at the Kyuubi. You see, I don't see you like the others. Cough, you are just a young man who had a great burden placed on you. Cough, cough, please Naruto, you have to believe me. The only reason you were never told, and the others your age were never told, was because Sandaime wanted to give you a chance to have a normal life, to make friends and enough yourself. Naruto could only look on, as his sensei pleaded with him. He watched, as the emotions played across Iruka's face. Iruka-sensei, enough. Time for both of you to die. Interrupted Mizuki, as he removed his second shuriken, unleashed it in the direction of Naruto and Iruka. Naruto, unable to see it, and Iruka unable to move much without spasms of pain hitting him, just stood there. Both were shocked when they heard a shout of, Naruto-kun, come from behind them. This caused Iruka to look up and see the form of Hinata come running towards them, in hopes of stopping the object from slicing both in two. That was all it took to shake Naruto from his stupor. He quickly threw Iruka off of him, and braced himself for the giant shuriken with his arms blocking his face. Iruka looked on in horror, as the shuriken slammed into Naruto's right arm, piercing through it, and throwing Naruto down to the ground. Hinata stopped in shock, and looked at the bleeding form of Naruto on the ground. Mizuki looked up from where he was, and noticed the Hyuga heiress standing in the clearing, and started to smile evilly. So, the Hyuga heiress is here, as well. I'm sure I could get a nice price for you from the wreckage. It looks like I get to destroy the Kyuubi, the Scroll of Sealing, and the Byakugan all in the same night. Sorry Iruka, but I'm going to have to kill you. No? Stay away from them. Shouted Naruto, as he struggled to stand, and pulled the shuriken from his arm. Oh? And what will you do if I don't? I could kill you in a single move. Replied Mizuki to the threat. I'll defend them with my own two hands. You will never lay a hand on them. As he shouted this out, the pain from the previous night came back tenfold. Arg, yelled Naruto, as it hit him, causing Iruka and Hinata to both turn towards him worried. Naruto. Naruto-kun. They both shouted at the same time. As they watched Naruto, he grabbed his right arm once again. They watched in fascination, as a strange light started to glow around the area. A strange blue, green, and white danced around the clearing. As suddenly as it started, chunks of earth and parts of the shack started to vanish. Slowly the light started to concentrate on Naruto's right arm. Yelling in pain, Naruto's arm started to split into three pieces while still attached to him. The first contained his thumb and pointer finger, the second his middle finger, and the last his ring and pinky. The pieces ran all the way from his knuckles up to his shoulder. In flashes of light his arms started to separate, leaving more of the glowing light in between the parts. Then they started to come back together, each part as red as the muscle inside of the arm. After they reformed, bands of gold came around the arm, as if holding them together. By now his hand had changed, the fingers were red, with bands of gold and silver running across the top of his hand and wrapping around it. His fingers looked more mechanical than biological, and flexed, as if testing themselves. Slowly more gold material started to appear on his forearm, with two parts forming, then closing in on it, and concealing what looked like spikes inside. Slowly more of the strange armor appeared, and started to enclose more of his right arm, all the way up to his shoulder. Once his arm was fully encased in the new metal armor, three strange fins started to form on his shoulder blade, each one larger than the one before the previous. It was once these fins appeared and formed that the light stopped and showed Naruto with an armored right arm, looking as stunned as the others inside the small clearing. What is that? I don't know what kind of jutsu you use, it won't be enough to save you from me. Shouted Mizuki, as he started to run towards Naruto while drawing a kunai from his pouch. Naruto stood there, clenching and unclenching his hand, testing it. He felt stronger, almost, as if a newfound power had found its way to him. He watched his hand, as he worked it, and slowly turned his gaze towards the charging Mizuki. I'll never let you hurt Hinata or Iruka-sensei. Challenged Naruto, as he ran towards his former sensei with his new arms cocked back. As the two grew closer, Naruto swung his fist forward at the same time Mizuki swung his kunai down. The two struck, sending sparks flying into the night sky. As the kunai struck the armor of Naruto's arm it sparked on contact, then snapped from lack of a place to go. Mizuki jumped back, as he looked down at his broken kunai, then at Naruto. With an evil glint in his eye he started to perform a set of seals. Naruto didn't wait for the seals to finish, as he charged forwards, with only the thought of protecting Iruka and Hinata in his mind. As he charged forward, something strange started to happen to the first and smallest fin on his back. It started to slowly deteriorate. In a flash of the same light as before, Naruto was propelled forward at an incredible speed. The armor at his forearm opened, and small spikes came out. Mizuki was taken by surprise, as Naruto flew at him. He never had a chance to move or finish his jutsu, as Naruto's armor-encased fist came crashing into his chest, sending him flying back in an explosion of energy. As Naruto hit Mizuki, an explosion occurred, sending debris flying around the clearing, and knocking Hinata down upon Iruka, who turned to protect her from the debris. Coughing, Mizuki slowly started to stand once again, but this time on unsteady legs. Nice jutsu you have there, Kyubi, but it is going to take more than that to beat me. Anything you send at me, Hinata or Iruka-sensei, I'll pay back tenfold. After that declaration, Naruto quickly started to do something that shocked everyone present. With his left hand, he started to form one-handed seals, ending upon one slightly cross-shaped one while calling out, Tajukage Bunshin no. The clearing started to suddenly fill up with Naruto clones, each with an armored encased arm, and each glaring dagger at Mizuki started to laugh nervously. Iruka watched on in wonder. Those aren't just any Bunshins, they are actual bodies. Hinata almost felt like she was dreaming, seeing so many Narutos in the clearing surrounding them. She was quickly snapped out of her daydream when she heard Naruto's voice calling towards her. Hinata, take Iruka-sensei and run. Things are about to get crazy. Hurry. That was all it took to get Hinata to pull Iruka up and start to carry him away. As she went, she silently activated her Byakugan so that she could watch the battle about to start. She was stunned when she saw more and more chakra being pumped into the different Narutos in the clearing. That was when she realized what he was about to do. Once she realized this, she quickly found a place to sit and hide from the soon-to-come explosion. She decided upon a large old pine that looked to have recently fallen. Once behind it, she waited. Hinata, what are you doing? We can't leave Naruto there, came from Iruka as they settled in. Iruka-sensei, I think it is best we do what he says. Iruka looked on at her, confused at first. That was when he heard the first of many large explosions. In the clearing, Mizuki was still looking around at the group of shadow clones, and was trying to figure out how to get out alive, when he suddenly felt a massive amount of chakra start to gather. He looked at each clone, and then it suddenly hit him. He knows Bunshin Daibakuha. That was his last thought, as the clones all charged towards him, and one by one started to explode. With each explosion, other clones would explode until the entire clearing was nothing but one large crater with the body of Mizuki laying in the middle, with barely any life left in him. Hokage Tower. Sarutobi was no fool. After sending the shinobi out to search for Naruto, he went to his office, and into a side room where he could perform the Tamage no Jutsu. Once done, he saw Naruto in the forest, and read the scroll. He watched on, as Naruto started to perform the different Kage Bunshin-based jutsus. He couldn't help but smile at Naruto's work. Very few would be able to do what Naruto is doing after all. He also watched as Iruka, and then Mizuki confronted Naruto. He began to worry, as Mizuki spilled the beans about Naruto's past. That Mizuki sure has a big mouth, was one of the few comments he made during this time. He watched again, as Mizuki threw his second shuriken. Sarutobi started to sweat at this. Naruto wasn't moving, and Iruka was in no shape to do anything. He was shocked when Hyuga Hinata came into the picture, and he saw the look in Mizuki's eyes. This does not look good for those three. What surprised him the most was what happened next. After taking the shuriken in the arm, Naruto stood up and declared something. Shortly after that, his globe filled with a green light that he had only seen once before. So, he has finally woke up to his bloodline limit. I knew it would be happening soon from what Iruka told me. What an interesting form it decided to take though. It matches Naruto perfectly, always willing to let his fists talk before his mouth. He grinned, as Naruto released one of the fins to his newfound power, and sent Iruka flying across the clearing. Then he saw Naruto say something to Hinata and Iruka, sending them running shortly after Naruto created hundreds of Kage Bunshins. When he saw Naruto jump back into the forest, he had a feeling of what was about to happen. The feeling was confirmed when each of the Bunshins started to explode, bouncing Mizuki around like a pinball until eventually none were left, and Mizuki was left laying in a crater. After watching a few more minutes, Sarutobi slowly started to walk outside to call off the search. He was proud of Naruto today. He took the news far better than any thought he would have. Not only that, but he found out one of his birthrights, as well as possibly made a friend he could confide in. But only time would tell how that would finally turn out. So, his bloodline limit is finally awaked. I knew it would be happening soon from what Iruka told me. What an interesting form it decided to take though. It matches Naruto perfectly, always willing to let his fists talk before his mouth. He grinned, as Naruto released one of the fins to his newfound power, and sent Iruka flying across the clearing. Then he saw Naruto say something to Hinata and Iruka, sending them running shortly after Naruto created hundreds of Kage Bunshins. When he saw Naruto jump back into the forest, he had a feeling of what was about to happen. The feeling was confirmed when each of the buncheons started to explode, bouncing Mizuki around like a pinball until eventually none were left, and Mizuki was left laying in a crater. After watching a few more minutes, Sarutobi slowly started to walk outside to call off the search. He was proud of Naruto today. He took the news far better than any thought he would have. Not only that, but he found out one of his birthrights, as well as possibly made a friend he could confide in. But then again, only time would tell how that would finally turn out for Naruto. Allies or foes, Genin teams announced. Konoha Force. Iruka had no idea what had just happened, or what that strange armored arm of Naruto's was, but after the huge explosions, he knew he had to check on him. Straining to stand up from beside Hinata, he slowly inched his way back to where they had left Naruto. He didn't get far before Hinata was by his side once again, acting as support to help him walk. After several minutes of climbing, as well as several more stumbling, and falling over uprooted trees and broken branches, the duo made it back to the clearing where the fight occurred. The only problem was the crater that had to be nearly 10 feet deep, and spanned the entire clearing with Mizuki lying in the center. Hinata and Iruka both stared at the massive amounts of damage done by Naruto. Naruto, just what in the world did you do to Mizuki? Naruto-kun, I hope you are okay. Both were pulled from their thoughts, as they could hear coughing coming from behind them in the trees. Iruka could feel Hinata tense underneath his weight, and both looked towards the sound, waiting for the owner to reveal themselves. After several minutes, a clump of blonde hair with twigs and dirt hanging from it could be seen making its way out from behind some of the recently upturned foliage. It wasn't long after that the form of one Uzumaki Naruto came stumbling out to them. Naruto. Naruto-kun. Shouted both, as they went to Naruto's side. With Hinata setting Iruka down, she gently did the same to Naruto. Once he was down, it didn't take long for both to notice he still had that same armor-encased right arm, and 2 fins on his back. Naruto, what happened? What did you do? What is that strange armor on your arm? Asked the confused teacher, while he carefully checked Naruto over for injuries. Hinata was doing the same, but with more distance. As her shy nature made a return, seeing he was now okay, and a severely torn wardrobe revealing a well-toned and tanned body. Naruto sat there on the tree they were using as chairs. He leaned forward, with his arms resting against his legs, with his head hung down low, so that no one could see his face. Iruka-sensei, it's all true, isn't it? The Kyuubi no Yauki was sealed in me by Yondaime. That's why everyone hates me, isn't it? Why do the villagers hate me? Why do they attack me? Why I could never play with the others? It's why you probably hate me too, right, sensei? I'm a monster. As Naruto was speaking, Iruka could see his shoulder shaking, as the boy tried to restrain the building tears. Iruka just stared at Naruto, shocked at what he said. He was about to speak when suddenly a soft, gentle voice spoke before him. No, Naruto-kun. Not everyone hates Yu. Some of us care for you, even now. Iruka-sensei would never have taken those shuriken and kunai if he hated you. Wouldn't be here now if I hated you, or if I was afraid of Yu, Naruto-kun. No, to me you were, or W will never be an M-monster. I think you are a hero, just like Yondaime-sama would have wanted. With each word coming out of her mouth, Hinata had taken a step forward until she was in front of Naruto. As she ended, she gently cupped his larger hands inside of her smaller ones. You know, Naruto, she's right. If I hated you, I would never have taken you out to ramen all those times, or come here looking for you. I would have just looked at you the same way as everyone else. But here I am, with the wounds to prove I care about you. You are almost like family to me, like the Itato, little brother I never had, but always wanted. Hearing these words shocked Naruto, as he jerked his head up to look first at Hinata, then Iruka. Why you really mean that? You don't think I'll go kill everyone? Asked Naruto with a look similar to that of a scared and cornered animal. Nope, it never crossed my mind. I mean, sure, I hate the Kyuubi for what it did. He paused, as he saw Naruto start to look down in shame again, but I know you are not the Kyuubi. If you were, you would have let Mizuki kill me and Hinata, and either run off with the scroll, or destroyed the village by now. If anyone should be considered a monster, it's Mizuki and the other villagers. Hinata nodded in agreement with Iruka, as she continued to hold on to his hands. The three sat in silence for what felt like an eternity to Hinata, but it was only a few minutes. The silence finally ended up shattered by Naruto. So I guess this was all just to get me to steal the scroll. So there isn't a way I can become a genin. Is there, Iruka-sensei? I should have known. Even with those I learned, it was way too easy. Hearing this brought Hinata back to why she had been following Naruto around the entire night. Naruto-kun, if I could, I would gladly let you take my place. I do not deserve it as much as why you do. You worked so hard to make it, and yet you failed. Not wanting to see his face, she ducked her head back down, with her chin pressed firmly against her chest, and bangs blocking her face from sight. Nah, it's alright. Now I know why I failed earlier. Whatever this strange thing is on my arm caused me to fail. It's been causing unholy amounts of pain since last night, and acted up when I took the test. But next year, I know I'll ace it, and maybe we can be on the same team then. Besides, Hinata, you will make a great ninja. I mean, it had to take some real guts to come out here looking for me. Then you came to try to save Iruka-sensei and myself from Mizuki-sensei. I don't know how well you fight or anything, but I'm sure you are strong. Iruka grinned at his student, happy that he was finally becoming his old self once again. Hinata herself was blushing from the praise she received from Naruto. Well now Naruto-kun, I don't think graduating this year is out of the question yet. Came an old voice, which carried a great deal of wisdom with it. Turning around, Iruka, Hinata, and Naruto could see the Sandaime Hokage, Sarutobi, along with several Anbu, and Jonin walking into the crater clearing. Gigi, grandfather, I didn't think you would find me so soon. Yeah, sorry about breaking in, and all. Started suddenly nervous, and ashamed of Naruto. Looking at him, with his left hand nervously scratching the back of his head, and seeing him unable to make eye contact struck the old Hokage, as humorous for some reason. It also reminded him of another blonde prankster, who had done something very similar to Naruto's recent stunt. Well Naruto-kun, it is kind of hard to miss the series of explosions you let loose on Mizuki. But I think we have something more important to talk about, such as Yukake Genkai, and the Forbidden Scroll. Naruto had enough decency to look bashful, but yet still look excited about having a bloodline limit. First though Naruto-kun, you need to turn off your ability. To do that is fairly simple, close your eyes, and imagine it going away. Think of it as a piece of clothing that you are removing, almost like a shirt or glove. With that Naruto closed his eyes, and tried to picture the armor leaving his arm, and slowly revealing his true arm. As he did, those gathered around could see it happening. Slowly parts of the metal encasing it vanished in the same green light that it formed from. It started with the fins on his back, from their tips, down to the shoulder blade. Once those were gone back to whence they came, it started at the shoulder. Slowly it moved down the length of his arm, first a golden and silver portion of the armor peeling, and flaking away. As that vanished it left the under armor, which looked almost just like the normal muscle fiber of an arm. Finally even that was gone, leaving only Naruto's original arm, and the clothing that covered it. Naruto opened his eyes to see the pleased and amused smile of the old Hokage, and the surprised eyes of Hinata and Iruka. Without even looking at his arm, Naruto could tell it was a success. Okay, so that is how I get rid of it. But how did I use it in the first place? I mean, I don't know what activated it, or what caused me to use the power of it. Then there's me knowing how to suddenly do one-handed seals. I mean it is all kind of surreal, Gigi. Asked the now confused Naruto. I imagine it is a bit much to take in all in a single night, but before I can explain things, we should get to my office, where we can discuss this to a greater length. Then there is also the fact that the Hyuga have been scouring the village looking for a certain heiress. The final part was whispered, and said with an amused grin on his aged face. Now then, let's return the scroll, and we can talk about the things that have occurred, as well as things from the past. And with those final words, the Sandaime Hokage turned, and started his way back to the village. Behind him Hinata and Naruto followed with an injured Iruka leaning on them. As they left, the Anbu in the clearing could only stare at the destruction brought down on the little area. Each wondered what had just happened there, as well as what was the strange thing that was on the young Uzumaki's arm and back. What had many intrigued was the white beam of light that was seen from this area shortly before the explosions. Hokage Tower. It took them nearly an hour, with the injured Iruka, to finally make it to the tower, but they made it. It was only after a brief stop to get Iruka fixed up that the pace quickened, and finally brought them to the tower. Once in, and in the Sandaime's office, and after he secured the Forbidden Scroll once again, they were all seated around the desk of the Hokage. Each one had a different reaction across their face, from curious, to anxious, and ashamed of what might be said next. Yes, now that that has been taken care of, there are just a few more things to do. With this he looked towards Hinata. Hinata-chan, I have already sent a messenger to let your father know you have been found, and in perfect health. I'm sure he will wish to confirm this himself, so he will be here shortly. Before then, we need to speak about several things. Naruto gulped, as the Hokage settled his steady, piercing gaze upon him. Is he mad about what I did earlier? Thought Naruto, as he started to sweat bullets. First, I have to say Naruto-kun, that jutsu you used earlier. It is truly a deadly one. I have heard of it from several Jonin, Chunin, and Anbu, but now that I have witnessed it myself, there is only one thing to be done. He turned to Iruka to see him shaking his head with a slight pink tint coming to his cheeks, and Hinata with a questioning look on her face. Naruto himself looked rather amused with himself, and was busy scratching the back of his head with a smile plastered on his face. Secondly, there is the fact that you stole a very dangerous object. If this scroll had fallen into the wrong hands, there is no telling what they could do with the number of the jutsus written down within it. The punishment for such an offense is death. Hinata and Naruto couldn't help but gasp at the news. Is he going to kill and Naruto-kun? What? I thought the old man cared for me. Is it because I know about it? The Hokage, who had looked on amused at first, began to regret his choice of words. He could see the hurt across Naruto's face, and the worry on Hinata's. Releasing a deep sorrow-filled sigh, he decided to clear things up. It is hard to believe that those two would accept such a thing so easily. Just what have they seen in their short life? However, that does not apply here, seeing as how you were tricked into this Naruto-kun. So you, and Hinata-chan may rest easy. In fact, since you were led to believe doing this would allow you to become a genin by one of your sensei, he paused, as he gave a subtle nod to Iruka, who smiled to the old Hokage, and gingerly stood from his chair to move in front of Naruto. Now Naruto, I want you to close your eyes for me. Keep them closed till I tell you to open them, okay? Naruto nodded his head, and did, as he was told by the one he considered his brother-father figure. Naruto felt a tugging on his head, as what felt like his goggles were removed. Shortly after that he felt something softer, with a firm front being placed around his forehead. After several more seconds, in which several hairs were caught in something being tied behind his head, he finally heard Iruka tell him to open his eyes. As Naruto started to open his eyes, he heard a small gasp from beside him where Hinata was sitting. The first thing Naruto noticed was Iruka in front of him, but something was off. It took him a few seconds to realize what it was. "Iruka-sensei, where's your aide?" asked the confused blonde. Smiling, and bracing himself for what was to come, Iruka responded, "Congratulations Naruto, you graduate." Naruto sat there stunned for several minutes, letting the information sink in. Once it sunk in, he pinched himself several times, just to make sure he wasn't dreaming. Along with it he looked around the room. Well, if this is a dream, it sure is a new one, seeing Hinata is here with me, instead of Sakura-chan. But somehow, that just seems better. When I've been around Sakura-chan I was always worried about getting my head bashed in, but with Hinata it is strangely peaceful. After looking around the room, and seeing the smiles on each person's face, he finally let one of his true smiles slip across his. This was his true smile that everyone could tell he was truly happy about something, and not one put on, as part of a mask to hide pain, sorrow, and loneliness. "Yeah, I did it. I did it. Thanks Iruka-sensei," loudly exclaimed the now hyper-blonde, as he went around the room, first jumping on, and hugging Iruka, then doing the same to the aged Hokage. He ended his little trip around the office by running up to Hinata, the Hokage, and Iruka watched in amusement, and picked her up off her feet, giving her a hug in his excitement. Once his arms wrapped around her, and lifted her from the chair, as he twirled around, Hinata's mind promptly shut down, as a dark shade of red found its way to her face preceding her passing out. Iruka was the first to save the girl from any more embarrassment, as he stopped Naruto, and picked Hinata up to place her on the couch in the office. Once Naruto had calmed back down, he took his seat once again, remembering there was still more to discuss. "Yes, well now that you have that out of your system," started Sarutobi, only to be cut off by Naruto. "Yeah I know, the bastard Kyuubi is sealed in me." I wasn't too surprised, honestly. I mean sure I was shocked at first. But then I remembered the words of the villagers, the things they say, and do. The way my apartment is always. Naruto caught himself before he said too much about his place of residence. He knew how the two would react. He felt he had said enough when he told them he wasn't too surprised to hear it now. "Naruto, if things were that bad, why didn't you say anything? We would have helped, or stopped them," spoke the now depressed Iruka. I didn't say anything because I don't want pity. I can take care of myself. My place might be trashed, and my things torn up, but what is important is always safe. As long as that is true, then it doesn't matter how many couches, or pairs of clothes I go through. Besides, I rather like camping out when my place is too trashed," spoke the blonde with a small sad smile on his face. "Naruto, perhaps you are truly ready to know about your family, and perhaps given time the people of Konoha may see you for who you truly are." "Fair enough Naruto, now there is the part about your newfound Kekkei Genkai, which I'm sure you want to know something about." "Yeah, you of all people should know Jiji, that I was always looking for my family, or at least something to let me know what happened to them, or who they were," whispered a very solemn Naruto. "I will not admit to knowing or even understanding it. From what I have seen, and heard, it is a rare gift that your family has." The Kekkei Genkai was given the name of Alter, due to the fact that it allows you to manipulate the surrounding molecular reality. When used, the user is able to shape the energy and resources around you to a new form. In your case it took the form of an armored arm. I believe though that the form for each person depends upon their personality. You're the type to rush head first into things, and let your fists do the talking for you. Your new power responded to that will, and took the shape most befitting you. I know I may not have explained it perfectly, hence why I dug up this scroll left to you by your father. I must warn you though, what you read may upset you, and it is all highly confidential information. As such, only those I feel necessary, and those you wish to know are allowed to hear this. Do you understand, and agree to these terms?" Naruto-kun asked the Hokage, as he leaned forward onto his desk, while clasping his hands in front of him, and resting his chin upon it. "There is also the fact about Kyuubi being within you. That is also highly classified information. It is true the majority of the village knows this, but it is only those that are older than your generation that know this. I made a law shortly after the Kyuubi was defeated. The law was that no one was to speak of this to the younger generation under penalty of death. This was done for your benefit, so that you may have a chance to make friends." The Hokage paused, as his shoulders sagged down. "Sadly, it seems that many children followed their parents' lead, and treated you how they saw you treated by the adults. But it seems that there are a few exceptions to this rule, one such is right over on the couch now." At that, Naruto and the two others in the room looked over towards Hinata's resting form, each little small smile passing across their faces. Naruto sat there to think it over. On one hand, the answers he was always looking for were right in front of him. Who were his parents? Where were they? Were they alive or dead? Were they great heroes, or disgraces to the village? Did he truly want to know about them, and his heritage, as well as what seemed to be his new birthright? Then there was the fact that who could he share this with? Naruto-sensei would be one of the first, and maybe only people right now. But then there was Hinata. She seemed to know so much about him already, and accepted him, even knowing that the Kyuubi was sealed inside of him. She brought him back from despair with her kind words. He had never seen her do harm to anyone throughout their time in the academy. Somehow he knew he could trust her with whatever he felt, that she could be a person to confide in when he needed. To him she felt like a kindred spirit. Gigi, I want to know. I need to know what Naruto said finally. With those words, the Hokage reached into his robes, and pulled out a scroll with a spiral seal holding it shut. It was the same seal that the Hokage always wanted Naruto to have on his clothing, claiming it was his family crest. Once Naruto had a hold of the scroll, the Hokage started to explain what it was, only for Naruto to stop him. The blood seal, right? Only one related to the person who sealed it can open it. One of the best ways to keep information a secret when you don't want those it doesn't pertain to find out. He paused, as he noticed the bewildered looks of the two adults. What? Naruto-kun, how did you know that? Those are not normally covered in the academy, only in more advanced sealing texts would you find such things. Such things normally are not taught to others unless it is by family, or the person has reached a certain rank. I honestly don't know. I guess it started about 4 years ago when I just turned 8. I was going to leave my apartment to go to the woods that night. I can't stand being there on my birthday, when I found a scroll with my name on it, stuck to my door. Then I would find others tacked on my door on almost every holiday. Inside they would tell me to keep the information I learned to myself, and only reveal it to Gigi, when I became a genin. Each scroll contained sealing, and training guides for me to use. I could never find out who was putting them there, and I never found anything in them very useful. But it was something for me to learn, since I couldn't get into the library, and my books were torn up. But these scrolls were like a life preserver. One of the first ones told me to act almost opposite of what I really am. Don't get me wrong, I want to be Hokage for the reasons I've always said, and those pranks are fun to do. I do hate Sasuke, but that is all really. I hate oranges, I don't like Sakura-chan, I'm not really as loud as I act at times, and I'm not as dumb as people think. After doing it for about a year, it all started to become natural for me. I made it into a long-term mission for myself. I wanted to see how long I could keep up the act without anyone knowing. In the end I think it was these scrolls that stopped me from doing some very stupid things. Naruto-kun, is there any chance that you could let me see these scrolls? I might be able to tell where they come from then. I asked the Hokage. But, inside of his mind though, he was asking many other questions that would give him such information. If all of the scrolls were about seals and sealing methods, I only know of a few who would give such things to him. Of those few, I can only think of one that would know Naruto enough, or care enough, to want him to grow. Sorry Gigi, but whoever gave me these scrolls wanted me to promise to never show them to others, unless it was the person I married, an apprentice, or my own child. Well, I may not know who they are, I always keep my promises. But I can say that it was because of one of the newest scrolls that I found out why I sucked at Bunshin no Jutsu. I was always overdoing the chakra needed for a basic one. The newest scroll gave me several training exercises to do to help control my chakra better. But now I see another reason why it was always so hard for me to control my chakra. The Kitsune team's chakra that could be leaking into me might be another source of the problem. But I think I've gotten past it for now. Iruka, and the Hokage smiled at the enthusiasm put behind the final words. Very well Naruto. It was at this time that a loud voice could be heard from outside of the doors leading. The three that were currently awake inside of the office could hear the unmistakable voice of a person who thought too much of themselves. To those who knew him it could only be one person, Hyuga Hiashi, the current head of the Hyuga clan. With a look showing his distaste for the upcoming discussion, Sarutobi called out for the guards to let Hiashi enter. When he did, Hiashi had thrown the doors open and stormed into the room with a flourish of his white beige robes. Forgoing all pleasantries he started the friendly topic of discussion up. Hokage-sama, where is my daughter? Demanded the angry, yet seemingly caring, Hyuga. No need to be worried Hiashi, she is doing fine. As a matter of fact she is lying over on the couch. She has had a long night, which is something I need to speak with you about as well. Thanks for watching my video, leave a like if you enjoyed my video, and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. See you next time, till then sayonara.